overreact to things. And so you start overreacting to little things. And other little things and other little things. Traffic bothers you, what somebody said bothers you, this upset you, that irritates you. See what I mean? And or your ball game loses and you get upset, and somebody doesn't call and you get angry. You see what I mean? Well, but then see, when the big things come, then you react to the big things just like you did to the little things. You get upset. See, then you retreat into your mind and have worries, doubts, and fears. Today I want to talk about worries. Okay? Now there's a very beautiful passage in the Bible. I'm sure you've heard it many times. It's in Philippians, and it says, "Be anxious for nothing." Don't worry about anything, in other words. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Okay? So it says, be anxious in nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Okay? And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Now, if you really understood that, if you had experienced it, see, then you would know just how true it is. Let's talk about it, because you can. All your life, what you've done is you have always gotten lost in your thinking. You've always looked to your thinking, to your imagination, to thoughts, to planning, to scheming, trying to figure things out. See, and that's what you were taught in school. That's what they taught you to do, to get involved in your thinking. And that's what egos naturally do. See, that's what we do all the way back to the Garden of Eden, which I won't go into now, but I have in other books and other videos, and I will again, because I see it so clearly that it all goes back to the Garden of Eden. You are just a chip off the old block. You're just another Adam or another Eve. The only difference is now that Christ has come, okay, you have a possibility to rise above your fallen nature, to overcome what has always been overcoming you. Okay? But let's talk about, so what did Adam do? He chose thinking. Instead of just trusting in God and believing God and leaning on God and just being happy. See? He wanted to know good and evil. In other words, he wanted to plan and scheme and prove things and be a big ego and lord it over people with knowledge and all that kind of stuff. Well, sure enough, he got his wish, but then he became subject to knowledge. And to this very day, we're subject. Aren't you subject to knowledge? See, and to people who, and to the educators and the experts of all kinds who lord it over you with knowledge. And then now you're subject to your own worries, doubts, and fears. Those thoughts, that you thought were your thoughts. And at one time you used them because they catered to you, to your fantasies, see, and your illusions. Now they dominate you. Worries, fears, doubts. See? They dominate you. So you become subject to them. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? Okay, here's what you do. You have to find a way to stand back, which I can teach you. That's what my meditations are for, incidentally. See, it's useless to try to struggle with your worries. Okay? You've tried that. It doesn't work. And of course you can distract yourself. You can go watch TV or listen to the radio or try to read a book or something, and that does help somewhat. I mean, it's like harm reduction. It helps a little bit. It's better to be watching a movie or reading a book than it is to be lost in those negative emotions which are not good for you, and worries. Those worries don't help anything. See, if you have a big issue now, like let's say you have a medical issue, you're under a doctor's care, you have some medical issue and you're worried about it, well, your worry doesn't help anything. We all know that worry has never solved anything, and we also know that most of the things we worry about don't happen anyway. We all know that. See, you know that intellectually, but you need to know how to make it happen where you're not lost in worry. See, then you'll be a better patient. You'll be a much better patient if you're not worried and upset and all stressed out and fearful. If you're more calm and composed, you'll be a much better patient. Okay? So let's talk about what you need to do, which is to stand back from the worries. Okay, so you get the meditation that I have. See, especially the easy meditation. I have a very nice, it's called the easy meditation. It's an ancient Christian meditation. What it does, you basically learn to sit still and look at the inside of your eyelids. See the little sparkle of light on the inside of your eyelids. And the moment you do that, see, you're immediately no longer lost in your thinking. Now you're back in the present. So you found a refuge. You found a prayer place, okay, where you're in the present. See? Back in the present moment again. You hear the birds sing. Okay? And then you'll be able to carry that same objectivity which you get from that. See, you gain objectivity where you're standing back, looking objectively at things. Okay? You'll be able to then, when worries come along, which they will, the thought stream, you know how it comes and it just flows along. But now instead of getting carried away with it, instead of falling into it, you know, like a person sitting on the bank of a river. As he sits on the bank of the river, he watches the river flow by. Okay? But what he doesn't want to do is to jump into the current and go floating away downstream, see, in the water. He's nice and safe on the bank, watching the water flow by. Okay, so that's what you need to learn how to do, so that your soul can stand back. See, you become the thinker. You're no longer the thought. See, you are not your thoughts. You're the observer of thought. See, you'll learn how to do that with the meditation. You'll be the observer of thought. Then you watch the worries. You watch the doubts. You watch the fears. See, you watch them. There they are. Okay, you're not struggling with them. That only gives them power. And you're not trying to push them under the carpet and pretend they're not there either. They're there. Okay? So you can't give yourself faith. See, if the worries are there, there they are. If the doubts are there, there they are. Okay, just observe them. See, you don't have to believe them or disbelieve them. You don't have to interact with them anyway. Just watch them. Stand back. Watch them. Watch them. Okay? As if they were a bad movie. You know, if you're sitting in a room late at night and somebody has a TV on at the other end of the room and it's some really bad movie, and there it is blaring away, and you just, there it is, and you stare at it for a minute or two, and it's just nothing, see? So you must learn to have that same kind of objectivity with all those negative thoughts which don't do you any good whatsoever, okay? So now you see the secret is to stand back. Learn to stand back, okay? Now, if your soul is standing back, you will be stable. You'll have some composure, some dignity, some objectivity, some control. Not a control by willful control, not a control by struggling or by resenting, but a control by standing back and watching. Pulling toward God. See, pulling away from the thoughts so you're not falling into them and just observing them. When you do that, you're closer to God. You're closer to God in reality, in the present. The presence in the present. You're closer to God's presence in the present. That's where the peace of God is, in the present. But it's not in thoughts, not in worries and doubts and fears and imagination and fantasies. It's not there. That's where hell approaches. Okay? Your thoughts, your morbid thoughts and your worrying thoughts are closer to hell. Okay? So now all you have to do is stand back and observe them. The meditation teaches you that discipline. So now your soul actually has some stability, a modicum of poise, a modicum of courage, which will grow as the days and weeks go by. It will grow. See, your soul will learn to lean toward the light, to lean toward being in the present, to silently cry out to God. See? See? Jesus says that your Father knows what you need before you even ask. When your soul is not escaping into thoughts and into imagination and worries, doubts, and fears and planning and scheming, when your soul stands back, see, it's kind of a helpless feeling. Yeah, you feel helpless. But it's a helpless feeling where you're actually less helpless than you've ever been before, because now you're closer to God, and your soul is silently calling to Him. And there are the thoughts. They go float. They'll keep coming back, and they'll be tempting you. See, tormenting you, teasing you. There they are. Just watch them. Just watch them. Now your soul is calm, composed, centered, in the present. You're no longer a part of those thoughts. You're separate from those thoughts. See? And so now you actually have faith, a sort of a faith in the Spirit, because you know now, you just somehow know not to get lost in thoughts. You know to pull back a little bit closer to God and away from those thoughts that once tempted you to jump into them. See? All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this lecture, and you have to get to meditation. See, you have to try. You have to do it. You have to get to meditation. You sit in a chair and practice it. Okay. And Lord willing, it'll do you a world of good. My name is Pastor Roland.